Terry Healey was his high school homecoming prince. In college, he was the fraternity president, leading a typical college student's life at the University of California at Berkeley. Handsome, athletic, intelligent, and then one day he was faced with an incredible trauma, a rare form of cancer which left him disfigured. Now, most people would have probably been unable to leave their home, but inspired by spiritual growth and motivated to help others, Terry Healey overcame his insecurities, and today he's a professional speaker, businessman, and board member of a national cancer support organization. He's also an author, and his book is entitled At Face Value, My Struggle with the Disfiguring Cancer.
My story is really more about the aftermath of the cancer, the disfigurement, than it is about the cancer itself. Certainly it was a life-threatening cancer, it was dangerous in a lot of ways, but my ordeal, my trauma was really more about getting myself back to who I was and trying to rebuild this face that had been basically destroyed by this cancer.
You wrote a book. Was this kind of like a catharsis for you?
It was an emotional experience, but a lot of it was prompted by other cancer patients at the wellness community who I was talking to. Other people struggling said, you know, you really do have an inspirational story that needs to be told.
Yeah.
So as I walk through the room, I want you to take a very close look at my face. And look at my face, and I want you to just write down that first reaction, that first impression, that first thought that you have that crosses your mind when you look at me. After having a series of reconstructive procedures and not really seeing any great results, I began to realize that what I needed to have was another purpose. I needed another purpose beyond reconstruction, something that I could control. And so getting that first real job when I finally graduated was significant because suddenly I had goals, I had objectives. I had responsibilities, and I felt like I was contributing to society, and I began to feel better and better about myself because I'd really been on this long spiral down. And now I kind of felt like I was now coming back up the other side, but I was still way, way down here, and I still had a long ways left to go. But then there were a series of events that liberated me, and the first was meeting a girl named Dina. Dina was this gorgeous girl with this great attitude. And she took an immediate interest in me, and we began to see each other, and pretty quickly our relationship became intimate. And I say that only because it was significant in that it was the first intimate relationship that I'd had with someone who didn't know me as this old Terry. But after spending a long weekend together, Dina looked at me and she said, Terry, you have a lot of issues that I can't help you with, and you need constant reassurance, and I can't give you that. And so what she taught me really was that the scars on the inside had become far more disfiguring than the scars ever were on the outside. It really wasn't my physical appearance that was the issue, it was my person that was the issue. And granted, that was a devastating moment, but it was also very liberating for me because suddenly it put everything in perspective. And I realized that I didn't need to figure out how to find that next wizard surgeon who was going to fix my eye or fix my nose or fix my lip. Instead, I had to figure out on how to rebuild what was inside. And finally, probably most importantly, was meeting my wife, Sue. And Sue and I had 2 dates together before she even asked me what had happened to me. So that told me a lot about Sue. She really wasn't concerned about whatever happened to me, but she cared about who I was as a person. In fact, I wake up in the morning and I lean over and I give her a kiss. And she looks back at me, smiles, and kisses me back typically. And let me tell you, I'm a scary sight in the morning. I mean, my hair is sticking straight up, my nose is crooked, my eyes droop, my lips pulled up. I look like a wreck. But she smiles back and she kisses me back. And never once in all of these 10 years, like a lot of wives might do, has she ever looked back at me and said, you know, maybe you ought to get that nose straightened out just a little bit, or maybe you ought to get that eye just lifted a little bit. She's never done that. Now, the fact that I'm losing my hair and going bald is a whole nother issue that she's not real happy about, but I don't know what we're going to do about that one. I speak to medical professionals because I think it's a story they need to hear about how to deal with patients on a level besides medicine and besides science. I talk to students who I think are high school students who are at a point in their life where self-esteem issues are so great, those challenges are so great as they leave high school, they're going to be on life on their own finally. I speak to sales forces, try to help them realize that you can overcome anything, you can accomplish anything, perseverance and all of those types of things. And then I talk to a lot of nonprofits, and that's where I get a lot of the passion from, is being able to talk to other people that are struggling with cancer or anything else for that matter, and be able to instill in them some of the ideas, some of the concepts, my survival kit, things like that that help me get through adversity. Now here's to the nurses. I had two of the best nurses that a patient could ask for, and both of them were committed to patient care and comfort. And the one on your left is Carolyn. I barely even knew Carolyn. I mean, literally I met her the night before over a couple of shots of morphine right here. And so after one of those procedures, Carolyn walks in and she's carrying this, and she kind of drops it on the edge of my bed. And I'm kind of pointing down to, so what's that? And Carolyn picks it up. She comes up real close to me and she says, that is a size 26 catheter. That's the biggest one we got, and that is what I'm going to use on you if you don't go to the bathroom pretty quick. Well, guess what? I went to the bathroom really quick. So the point is really that I think you can motivate patients in different ways, and you can employ humor. You don't have to employ fear. You don't wish adversity on anyone, obviously. But I got to tell you, I know a lot of cancer survivors, and I've never met one who's ever told me that they wish they didn't have cancer. And the reason is that it enabled them to reflect, to reevaluate, to reassess, to rethink what their life was all about, and to make their lives more meaningful.